Hello, I'm Matt Guff from thehouse.com, and I'm here with Jayson Henderson from Burton Snowboards. Jayson, how you doing,
What's up, buddy? Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah.
Jayson has been with Burton for how many years?
This will be my 15th year.
15th season.
On the rep side of things, yeah.
Got it. And you were a rider. Were you a rider for Burton before?
No. I ran a shop for about 11 years prior to that. So it was called Pro Skate and Snowboard in La Crosse, Wisconsin. So.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad you're here.
I've been snowboarding for like 30. This will be my 31st season. So
awesome. It's a long time.
Yeah, seen a lot of things come and go. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, Jayson decided to stop in and kind of walk us through a little bit more in-depth kind of like insight to the new step-on system that Burton's providing. There's 4 different boots, 2 different bindings, one for men, one for women, and then 2 bindings for each gender, or 2 boots for each gender. These have been getting a lot of traction. A lot of people are asking about them. The very few videos that are online have a lot of views. And I think only people within the industry have basically been able to ride them.
Yeah,
right?
And it's something that we did kind of launch last year a little bit with like demos, and you've been on them yourself, and I was actually on the system all last year. And it's something that Burton has had in development for over 5 years, so it's definitely just new tech that I think that the industry needs, and it's something that I think really fills a need for the industry out there.
Yeah.
We're not. I mean, obviously Burton is, one of the larger players in the game, but still being privately held by Jake and Donna, he put a ton of money into this, into developing Step On.
Yeah.
So we found there's a need for a convenience-based system. We're not saying that this is for everybody. It's, but we found that there is a need for it.
Yeah.
And people want just something to make it a little easier to get in and out of. If people are skiing and snowboarding together. People don't. My friends are always pissed off at me because I got to wait for me to get in my bindings, or so it is a thing. And. Us, we've been riding for years. Like, it's strapping, it's no big a deal. But like when you actually have the system and you go ride with other people, like that actually have normal straps, you're just like, you're like, wow, this is gives you time to like, check your Snapchat and do whatever, So it is a thing, and that's kind of what they set out to do, is to make a system that's convenience based, but it also has to perform. It's good. So.
And you said it took 5 years of development to create this binding, in addition to the experience that you had with the former step-in style systems, right?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, the concept has been around for years. A lot of people might remember the old step-in systems out there, and be honest with you, like every one of them sucked, including Burton's. They just. But where engineering was just in a completely different spot, and the way things are developed, and the way Burton developed things was in a completely different spot 20 plus years ago. They just had to, the way that they prototype things was different. They basically had to come up with 3 different iterations of something and pick a direction and go with it. Well, the way that we prototype things now with our rapid prototypers, Doyle, the mad scientist at Burton, they got this rapid prototype machine that builds usable things. They can grow new parts and try new things like every day.
And that's at Craig's.
And that's at Craig's. That's in
Vermont.
3D printers, and they can create stuff. And there was, they said over 500 prototypes before they picked a direction to move in. So they can dial all these. I mean, there was a lot of different stuff that. That they tried when they, were kind of given the marching orders. Let's figure out, let's figure out step in again. They kind of got the marching orders, and they were able to really just try a ton of different directions to move in. And so, they said it took them 5 years, but that was kind of the goal: make a convenient-based system that rides as good.
Those are the 2 main principles.
Yep. Basically, like convenience-based system doesn't suck.
Simple enough.
If it doesn't pass those 2 things, we're not going to do it.
Yep. So you guys chose to do 2 boots for each gender, and then kind of 1 binding, and they all they work together.
Correct. Well, it's just kind of starting out. We wanted to offer 2 different price points and 2 different performance levels in the boots.
Yep.
So for the men's, you have the ruler,
Yep.
So retails at $299. Has the Imprint 2 liner.
Yep.
Has the feather bowl with a lockdown tech in it.
Yeah.
That's definitely a softer ride.
Mm-hmm.
So so maybe for the more freestyle oriented person out there, or somebody that just likes a softer feel.
Yep.
And then the next model up from that, which unfortunately I don't have with me, it's called the Photon, but I'll use the women's version to kind of show the difference there. So
this is the women's Felix.
This is the women's Felix, yep. So the men's is the Photon. So it has updated liner, better harness on the inside, overall a stiffer boot, and then it also has the ankle strap on it too, which makes it more zonal, but also just gives you a little bit more power, more toe edge drive and things like that. So a little more ankle support. So, and that one retails for $400.
Got it. And then both boots for each gender, I guess, fit into one binding system.
Correct. There's 3 sizes of bindings, but there's one men's binding and one women's binding.
Okay.
So,
what are the size ranges? Do you know what the size ranges are off the top of your head?
Men's goes from, so this is a medium here. Men's goes from 8.5 to 10.5.
Okay.
So, and large would be 11.5 up. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And what's the biggest size boot that you guys are making for this season in Step On?
And Step On, I believe, is I think it's a 13.
Okay.
I think it's 13.
Got it.
Not 100% on that. But.
Yeah. And like one thing that I've seen through like a lot of the snowboard threads and Facebook groups is that, and on YouTube specifically as well, is like, why are they so expensive? Like, I don't know. I don't understand why people think they're more expensive than the average boot and binding combination, right?
Well, it's kind of a sticker shock type thing.
Okay.
If you really kind of break it down, people think like, okay, yes, you have to have a specific boot and it works with this binding.
Yeah.
You can't have one without the other. So, especially this first year, with them being released to the marketplace, they need to be sold as a package. So individually, the bindings cost $250.
Which is the same as a Mission.
Same as a Mission. Kind of our middle of the road, binding.
Great binding.
Yep.
Great binding.
Yep. Workhorse, best binding for the cash. Yeah. And then the boot, so you got the ruler at $300, or the Photon Step On at $400.
And the regular ruler costs what?
$260.
$260, and the regular Photon costs
$380.
$380.
So there's a $40 and $20 difference depending on which one you go with.
Yeah, which isn't really that much for the amount of kind of like new technology that's out. Sure, they don't have straps.
Yeah, but it goes into the boot too.
Right.
But
exactly.
So I mean, the benefit of it is obviously you don't. The only thing that this really shares with old step-in systems is you don't have to bend over to get into your bindings. Right. That's the only thing that this really shares. This is a completely different riding system than old step-ins. They're especially technology 20-some years ago. Boots and bindings were freaking heavy. And these are weight-wise. We just weighed them before. Like
that's right.
It's the same weight.
Yeah. What are the specs for the step-on system with a ruler and a regular Reflex Mission with a regular ruler is 3 pounds and 15 ounces for each setup. So a total
at a size 9.
At a size 9. So they're exact same weight.
Yep. So weight isn't really an issue.
No.
So.
Yep.
But another benefit, there's about half the moving parts on this. You don't have straps, that are gonna fall off, and buckles that are, where springs are gonna fly out, and stuff like that. So, again, it's something they got a lot of work into, but it's a very simple system.
It is.
And usually the best designs always are,
Yeah.
So.
Now with the boot, the step-on boot, can they be worn in traditional bindings? And that's a question a lot of people ask.
Maybe the ruler if you took the clip off, because it doesn't have the ankle strap, and as long as it clears that. But I guess I don't know why you would.
Right.
Probably the biggest question that we get is can a regular boot be used in the step-on binding? And the answer is no.
No. So. Which would be great to see.
Yeah, but it's this is like the new. This is a new kind of like story. This is going to be a new option. Burton isn't saying that this is going to be, the future of our boots and bindings?
Sure.
We don't know.
Right.
We're still going to make the best strap bindings and the best strap boots out there. We're going to continue to push that. You know, they're already working on new strap designs. You know, for 2019. Like, they're not backing away from that at all. But this is just going to be an option for people. Yep. And I think it's really going to bring in, a lot of new people to the sport. Yeah. And I think a lot of the skiers that ski from out of convenience will switch over because of the comfort of the boots as well. Like Burton boots out of the box are, Yeah, you get all the benefits of the good fitting Burton boots, but I mean, I guess I've never skied a day in my life, but I mean, I just can't.
Never, not even one day.
Never.
Wow.
I've never had a ski boot.
That's
on my
hardcore.
foot.
Not once.
Not once.
Oh, it sucks. They hurt.
Yeah. Even more reason to, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's just snowboarding. Well, snowboarding is cooler in my opinion.
Yeah, it is.
No offense to people out there who do both. Whatever gets you down the hill makes you happy. That's all that matters, as long as you're out there.
Now, the step-on system has a 3-point kind of pin activation and a kind of lock-in system. Why do you guys choose to do the 3-point system? Because kind of walk us through the componentry of the boots and how they interact with the bindings.
Yeah, basically, you have the main connection point, which is in the heel here. You got this cleat. So this you have a couple different steps here. So almost picture that as like the ladder on your ankle or on your strap. Yep. The little one with the teeth on it. So picture that as like your teeth. Yep. And then in the back of the Highback here, you've got it's basically like a buckle. So it's a similar concept, just put into the back here. Yep. So that's your main connection point.
You put that in first.
So yeah, I mean, you just kind of it's the way it works out. It kind of just funnels in there anyway. So you step straight down. Once you hear that first click, you're in, even if the toes aren't in. But
got it.
And the more you push down, like if there's snow built up, there's a couple different steps in there.
That's why they have 3 steps.
That's why there's a couple steps in there. If there's a little bit of snow pack built up in the base plate, usually you're smart enough to like shake it out. But if there's a little bit built up in there, you get one little click in there, you're into this thing.
But you still have 2 additional clicks to go down lower.
Yep, you still got some more levels to click down lower. Cool. And then the toes, it just has these little cleats that snap in. Yep. These are the same connection points that your toe strap would come in at.
Got it. So it's gonna feel as if it's like locked on like a traditional toe strap without having the pressure across the top or in front of your toes.
And really you got to look at what your toe strap doesn't really do a whole lot.
Not
I mean,
too much.
90% of your heel edge response comes from your high back.
Yeah.
So the toe strap just kind of snugs you in.
Yep.
And that's really all that this does anyway.
Got it.
So.
No. Now, why is it though that you guys are using 3 points, and why are you choosing to use them there?
Well, the reason why they went with the 3 points, obviously the front to hold the toes down, just like a strap system. But in the back, like one of the many like prototypes that they actually tried it with 4 points of contact. Okay. But what they found is that it actually anchored the boot too much to the binding. Got it. Because Burton, like especially with the way we design all of our bindings, we use engineered plastics, but we're also really concerned about the way your foot and your boot rolls into the binding. Yep. Like you can't just be completely anchored to it, because then you just don't move. Yeah. And that's one thing that a lot of engineers do is they look at they watch skateboard videos, they watch surf videos, and they see that the way that they're manipulating these things is with being able to roll your feet. Yep. So having that foot roll is always very important. So when they tested the 4 points of contact, it just locked it down too much.
It was too rigid.
So then it's just we're just not getting the foot roll that they need. And when they test these, it's crazy. They have GoPros and stuff, and they actually film the movement of the boot while you're turning, and they're just it's not getting that movement that we want. So once they went to the 3 points, it allowed it to kind of pivot a little bit more in there, and they got the foot roll that they were looking for. Got it.
And that's kind of something that I experienced too. But what I felt like it was inside of my boot. But it's good to have a little bit of movement too. That's why they have the hinge system on the EST bindings.
Yep, and then also it's built on our Reflex base plates. Okay. So one thing, I guess we're kind of getting into maybe a different video, but one thing that with older step-in systems is that you had these really heavy boot. You had like a plastic shank on the inside.
Midsection, yeah.
And then, you know, especially Burton's binding, it was a really big footprint, you know, this way. And and the claws kind of came in and, you know, it attached in here.
Yep.
You had this huge, like, footprint on the board.
Yeah.
And it was really stiff. Like, that binding did not flex.
Yeah.
And, you know, the idea behind our Reflex base plates is when the board's in the middle of a turn, your board is flexing. And with Reflex, we, you know, reduce the material there when the binding is actually flexing
with the board.
Yep, and then we see with the mounting discs, you know, that flexes with the board. So you don't get those dead spots. So like with the old one, it was just, I mean, the board was just, you had these two huge, just stiff zones. Like you could almost ride a bigger board because it was just stiffening up your board. It was crazy. Like, so, but obviously things have come a long way. So we put the Reflex base plate in there. Yep. And it's just a normal sole on regular boot, so it's nice and soft, and you're riding on the binding. You're not riding on a
under
mechanism.
a hard piece of plastic or metal.
Or metal, yep. So you still get that same boot to board feel as you would with a traditional, you know, Burton setup. So
got it. Now with along with that is like. Because the Highback has this like kind of lock-in buckle mechanism, the release lever, that's really easy, but there's not a traditional forward lean adjustment. How do you adjust your forward lean on a step-on binding?
So yeah, I mean basically like you have a couple different parts here. You got your main, you know, kind of engagement point here. So actually the Highback does have a little pivot to it. There's a couple of different little screws in here.
Okay, two right there.
2 screws, yep. So when you tighten that down, it tightens these bolts against the mechanism here, and it'll crank the forward lean.
Got it. It's almost like a higher living hinge, right?
Exactly.
Okay, yeah. Because that was a question that I got asked, like, where's the forward lean? And I didn't remember seeing it ever, and I was like, well, does it have forward lean? It must have forward lean.
Yep.
And I read through the specs, and I was like, yep. Forward lean. I was like, all right.
It's got these little screws. It's really simple. It's 2 screws, and it just
goes forward.
Yeah, and it actually it'll have, you know, like normally in our bindings it'll have, you know, F1, F2. It has those, you know. Right
it does.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm like an F5 guy.
Yeah. So if you're a 5 guy, you can dial that in there if you want.
Now, along with that component, the design of the step-on doesn't have. You can't adjust your Highback to be parallel with your heel side edge. How do you guys get around that?
That's the one thing that we kind of did sacrifice with this is you know, that micro adjustability in Highback rotation. But you know, they kind of like what they figured out is like most people ride, you know, within a certain, you know, amount of degrees, you know, 50 positive 15 and 15. So they actually built that into the Highback.
Yeah.
So once you have that angle on there, you know, the Highback is really contoured to that anyway.
To be at that angle, 15 or so.
Yeah, so it's you know, definitely, you know, within the ballpark. So
got it. Cool. Now one thing I do wonder though is like we've got the boots. They have metal style clips. Why do you guys choose to do metal?
Well, this was something that, like, again, they had like this basic system pretty much ready to go like 2 years ago. Okay. But when they were designing the little engagement cleats on the boots here, they were originally plastic. Okay. And they were, you know, testing a ton of different plastics, and it just, you know, they have this, you know, Doyle made this crazy like cycle machine where it just makes this thing like engage, come out, you know, they tested like, you know, 500,000 times or whatever, and it let it go for a week, and it was wearing out too much. So they wanted to make sure that this is the only piece on the boot that's not replaceable. So they had to make sure that cleat would last longer than the rest of the boot. Got it. So that's why they actually went to, you know, a little coated aluminum in there.
And that would be like one of my major concerns about riding a step-on boot. Is like, okay, so I got this rad boot. It only works with step-on bindings, but if those toe cleats wear out, then my boot's shot. So making them more durable to do a 500 cycle, like in and out, 500,000 cycle.
Yeah, they just let it go for weeks and just like it's crazy, but
yeah, okay.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, every besides this piece, you know, these little things here, that's the only part that's not replaceable. You know, the boa is obviously lifetime warranty with the New England ropes. These cleats are replaceable in the back.
Got it.
And as far as like the binding itself, you know, like this piece can, you know, every part in the binding is completely replaceable.
Got it.
Especially, it looks like it's all one piece, but these toe clips.
You can take the toe clips off and replace them.
Those are totally replaceable. So
Got it.
if 5-10 years down the road, if somebody, or who knows, things happen, flies off somebody's roof rack and it busts that off or something like that going on the highway, or if they just simply wear out 10 years down the road, you can pop new ones in.
Yeah, it's not bad. No, why do you like the system personally? Like, why you rode them all last season?
Yeah.
Well, why do you like them as much as you do?
Well, because it feels the same.
Okay.
As a regular strap system. That's one thing that I noticed is, I normally, like, my go-to setup before was a Malavita EST with the Almighty boot.
Awesome boot.
Just because it was, it gave me, I just love the way that combination. So then when I went to the Photon and Step On and then this.
Yeah.
I remember, like, my first run, actually I was riding the Deep Thinker board there.
Good board.
Had that mounted up and I was just like, all right, let's just see this. And like my third turn in, I was like, man, this board rips.
Yeah.
Like,
were you
beaning,
yeah.
I wasn't thinking about the binding.
Yeah, you weren't thinking about the binding, you were thinking about the board.
So
that was the first thing that I got. It's for me, it was hard, like to step onto it, and then look down and go, whoa, there's no straps. But I feel like you almost get quicker engagement because your heels locked down and your toes are locked down.
As far as the actual, we're finding like with toe side turns, because you're pulling further back on the boot versus a strap that's connected here, and depending on which strap and which boots you have, if you have a strap with a really thick ankle strap, you turn, that thing compresses, and then it's only pulling from here. You get a little bit of delay, but having this attached right to the binding back here, it seems like it actually, your power and your toe side is really quick.
Right. So if you get on a super narrow board and you ride this, you're gonna be lightning edge to edge.
Yep.
Oh. Yeah.
So that was the biggest thing for me, was like, does it ride is good, and it was like I couldn't tell the difference. It felt the same. So it's just like, well, why not?
Right?
I'll just keep riding it. Like, why not?
Now, for all the people that are on that cusp of going with a step-on system or not, what advice would you give them into purchasing the step-on? Why should they do that?
Well, it really just depends on what you want to do with snowboarding.
Yeah.
There's really no reason why you shouldn't, I guess. There's nothing that's going with this system that's going to hold you back from doing anything in snowboarding that you want to do.
Got it.
It's actually more durable. It's, there's less moving parts. So even if you're in park and you're bashing off rails and whatever, you don't have toe straps that are flying off and buckles breaking. And so durability is not the issue. It rides the same. So, really, it just, I can't really think of a reason why you shouldn't.
Yep.
I guess, this first year, us only having 2 boots, I would think maybe, for the people that have been, again, we're not saying this is for everybody. For the people that have been riding for years and they got a specific boot that they love, and they got, it fits them well, they like the flex of that. That's the only thing I can personally see being a limiting factor, is the choice of boots. It's not the engagement of the binding, it's the boots.
Yep.
So it just so happens that, like, I just love the way that Photon performed.
Yeah.
So.
And even the ruler too, like both of those in the men's segment are great. I think those are perfect binding or perfect boots to choose for a step-on system.
Especially just coming out this first year, Burton knows we got one shot to redo this, and we've got 5 years of development, millions of dollars into this thing. We got to take it slow. We can't just instantly, wipe the table clean and say every single boot is available in Step On.
Right.
We can't. It's just not good for the long term, health of this system. So
but I think aesthetically it looks good too.
Yep.
Overall,
super clean, real simple.
And like having these babies fold down when it's in a board bag. Oh man, that's nice.
Yeah, you don't have straps flopping all over the place, and So, but it's clean. It's light. It rides as good. It works with the board well.
Yep. And the price point, respectively, is a couple bucks more.
And honestly, like, for what's out there, like, you can spend more in a strap system and you can spend less on a strap system.
Yeah.
So it's right in the middle. You know,
Right.
it's competitively priced with anything that's halfway decent out there.
That's right. Because you can get a what's the most expensive boot? The Driver X, Imperial,
Well,
Ion,
SLX.
SLX.
It's like $600 for
Yeah,
just a boot.
$600.
Yeah.
And then you jump on an X base or a Genesis X.
It's $500. Like,
Yeah. There's a lot more expensive combinations.
Yep. So, but it's right in there. It's comparable. So.
Yeah. Awesome.
But yeah.
Stoked on it. Jayson, man, thank you always for coming in and helping out and walking us through this stuff. Thank you guys for watching the whole thing. I know you guys have a lot of questions, so feel free to leave those below. I'll do my best to get those questions over to Jayson.
Yep.
We're gonna have a couple more videos coming out with Burton and Jayson about the Step On, kind of diving into specific products. You can see all of those by subscribing to our channel. We're doing a lot more engagement with rider interviews, industry insider videos with people like Jayson. And if you haven't done so already, jump in to our YouTube channel. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, and of course, leave a like. And again, thanks so much for watching. Peace.